Okay, and we are live. This is Thomas together with Yaro Sampriti. I know that Brian's going to join us, and hopefully some other people from the dev team of Website 1. And what we're going to do today is to hold a quick scrum, as usual, but also try to have a sprint planning meeting, weekly sprint planning, yeah, as we agreed upon in the last meeting we held. So, you want to start? Let's start with a quick scrum, not too lengthy reports of your activity. But Yaro, you want to start, perhaps?
Yeah, the live sessions feature, which my pull request for the live sessions feature has been merged by Brian into develop. There was a problem with it last night, but he has fixed it and it's now in develop, which is good. I will invite people into testing it, testing the user interface, and hopefully I can polish that up in the next couple of days, and we can get it ready to be merged into production at some point. That's about it. I haven't done any coding since then, but I have summarized all the notes I have made during the big meeting we had the other day. I have updated the documents on Website 1. I have written up the. I have added quite a few stories to Pivotal Tracker to be discussed today, and that's about it. I just gave some, guidance to Sly and somebody else. It was on their features. That's it.
All right, sounds good. Any impediments? Anything?
One last thing. Yeah. Also, we have started. Me and Christopher has started the feature on the dashboard, on the public dashboard for Website 1. We have now a lo-fi in place. We have discussed the way to go about it, and we should be ready with the first iteration by the end of the week, I guess.
Cool. Sounds great. Do you have the lo-fi? Is it published someplace? Yeah,
I'll just post you a link in a second. It's on Website 1. Features, requests. Okay, posting the link into the group chat.
All right. Yeah, project. Yeah. Okay. Sounds cool. Looks good. Yeah. Definitely, yes. Looks lovely.
I'm trying out, just one note. I'm trying out different mock-up tools. I'm I'm trying one after another to see maybe there is a tool which we can sort of embed into Website 1 and use it for collaborative, making lo-fis easily.
Yeah.
Like this one. This one took me only a couple of minutes with Balsamiq. I really like it at the moment. So it's one of the candidates.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. And I don't want to rule out Google Draw, Google Docs altogether, but we can evaluate different things. Absolutely. There are pros and cons with everything. So, yeah. We can get back to this discussion later today, perhaps, or some other.
This is sort of an ongoing effort, I guess. In some time, after trying out a few other products, I can summarize, which one I think is a good idea. We can try it out.
Exactly. All right. Let's see here. So if that's everything from you, I know some pretty. He's out of. He doesn't have a microphone right now, but he says that the model refactoring pull request was merged, and he just finished the GitHub commit count feature. So that's about it from Sampriti. Anything blocking you, Sampriti? Nope, no block. Okay. Hello, Brian and Amal, and we have John with us. Cool, wonderful. About the GitHub commit count, I would like to take a minute later on and discuss that, because I know that the way Sampriti created it now, it's a nightly job or whatever. But I would actually prefer to have a live statistics on that, but let's wait in for, the pros and cons of that. But moving forward, Amal, your what have you been up to, and you know your plan?
I'm just let's say I've been going through the Ruby on Rails tutorial, Michael Hartle's. I'm about finished with it, and I have a ton of questions that I'm going to try to break the website to discover the answers to. And I'm going to look for something, a low-hanging fruit that I can jump on within Website 1.
Absolutely. Have you paired with anybody on the Website 1 project yet?
John and some Yarrow.
Okay, cool. But you haven't started you haven't taken ownership of any story or anything yet?
No, not at all.
Right.
No, not yet.
Okay, let's find something suitable for you today, perhaps.
Sure.
Yeah. John?
Yeah. So I worked on a couple of documents that I put onto the Website 1 articles, I believe, and I posted links to them in the Slack. So I don't know if you guys have taken a look.
Some of them, yeah.
Looks pretty nice. What are you using for your lo-fi? Your mock-up?
Oh, I used Google Drive, whatever tools they have in there.
Okay.
It's not as I think the tool that Yarrow is using, or the balsamic one, looks pretty nice, but yeah, I just haven't had time to use them yet. Other ones.
Thanks.
Okay, and what are your plans, Jan?
Oh, I'm just hoping to get some feedback on the two documents. One of them was about the internal model structure for the events and Hangouts, and the other one has a lo-fi extending up upon Yarrow's work on the Hangouts page to turn that into a more general events page.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't have any concrete programming plans. I mean, I'd like to get feedback so that we can turn those into user stories then on the side.
All right, cool, fair enough. Brian.
Yeah, I guess I'll be just looking at more pull requests today if I have time. So I was looking at some pull requests emerged in some pretty small refactoring, as he's mentioned. So I've also pinged Sly, for more updates on his pull requests, because that's been sitting there with no updates. I also helped out a bit looking at the OSRUP stuff. So there were 2 pull requests I looked at, just gave them a bit of feedback about my opinion. And yeah, I guess that's me for the past few days.
Cool.
Today I won't have a lot of time, so don't expect much.
All right, we try to whenever you have to go, you have to go. Understandable. I pulled in the latest code base, and before I pulled it in, I had 27 deprecation warnings, and now I have 9. So I guess we're getting there, right? Is there any plan to fix this be true issue?
Yeah, that's part of the Aspect 3 refactoring epic.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not at the moment we weren't rushing with it. We were waiting for newcomers to jump in and slowly work through it. We have fixed quite a few of them.
Yeah. After I know approximately 20 warnings disappeared after Brian merged in some previous latest pull requests. So good work, Sampriti. Cool. Okay. On my part, I've been just keeping busy with some other projects that I have. But in terms of Website 1, I've been just reviewing again all the code, all the pull requests that's been around. Getting to know the code base again, and I read both John's and Yarrow's documents, just preparing for this meeting. And I was hoping to find somebody to pair on a chore for updating some user interface misses or mistakes that are hanging in there, but I didn't find anything, and I didn't want to do anything by myself. So I'm hoping that tomorrow afternoon I can find a suitable pairing partner for that. Otherwise, nothing else is blocking or stopping me from anything. So that should be it, right, in terms of the Scrum, and we could move on for the weekly sprint planning. A little too bad that Pavel couldn't join us, because I was hoping kind of that he could lead that part of the meeting. But what's on the agenda? Let's have a look at the pivotal tracker, perhaps, or do you guys want to start with the? I know that one thing that I would like to discuss is this events model document that John prepared, and the ideas he has there. A little bit. I'm not quite following exactly why, what's going on. That part of the code, the code that deals with events, with Hangouts, and with Scrums and everything. It's a little messy for me right now. So if somebody could walk me through it, and perhaps I guess we need to take some decisions and choose a direction in which way, in which to move. But I don't know, John or Yaro, you want to take a lead on this discussion, or?
Personally, I would like to start with one thing, which I think is the main thing before we go any further, and that is we have at the moment we have defined the goals for website 1. I've just posted a link into the group chat. We have defined the short-term and mid-term goals for website 1. Mm-hmm. And I just would like everybody to have a very quick look on those goals, and just to verify that these are our goals. And then basically, any decisions we make about priorities and any further work should be based on our current goals.
All right. Okay. Provide faster involvement newcomers, information, AV, projects, workflow, tools, existing code, especially the newbies, guides, learning. Okay, this is partially yes on that, because we kind of decided for instance, I think you created a story about creating a screencast and some guides. So point 1 is it's a yes on my part. Yes, this is a short-term goal. The second point, you have the remove, hide, move down, abandoned or orphaned project. It's a great feature. I think we need to do that, but I'm not quite. We don't have a story for it now, and I don't know if we should start. I mean, we also have to prioritize, depending on what resources we have, and I don't know if we can start a redesign of everything that has to do with projects, which I think is very important. But I don't know if this is something that we can do in the short term.
Oh yeah, but this is actually just regarding the content, not redesigning any code base that we have. Just a matter of the newcomers have been complaining that they couldn't quite understand whether this project is still alive or not alive, and this document is is valid anymore. Okay. So the question was highlight the valid documents and basically hide, move somewhere the invalid ones so they don't distract the attention.
I gotcha. Brian, you created that interface. Is there any quick fix for moving website 1 and local support and autograders and OCRA, to the top of the list, and just have the other ones, be below, so they are really visible when those 4 projects that they are really visible when a new member visits the projects page. Okay. Brian's muted. I don't know if he's answering.
Right. We'll wait for him then. Let's have a look at the next point.
But you know what I mean. That's Yaro. That's a quick fix. Just to move them up, because I feel that we need to redesign a lot of that has to do with projects. So I wouldn't put in too much work into this now, but I do understand your concern. It's very valid, and I think it's an important thing. But it's better to apply a kind of a quick fix, and then when we have the time and energy, we can really revisit the whole thing and redo the whole package. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree absolutely. So should we? Is it okay if we leave it in short terms then? In short-term goals?
Yeah, I would just rephrase that from not remove, hide, move down. I just move up the priority projects.
Okay, I'll let you.
I would rephrase this from another point of view, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will edit it. Then.
Cool.
I just want to comment on this topic about new users, myself being one. Yeah, it was very daunting to go through the website one, Agile Ventures as a whole, and figure out what's going on. And the docs kind of lead here and there, and you have to be very technical to follow it. So I'm still even now I'm not really sure what this website does, what we're trying to do, and there doesn't seem to be a triage to treat new users or to get them acclimated with what's going on, what they can do to contribute, those kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, actually, this is we're in the midst of in the middle of the process of figuring out ourselves what this site is going to do, basically. So it's surprising. I'm not surprised that you didn't know, because we don't know sometimes either. So you're in the right place, to be able to help us out with this. So, but yeah, I mean, basically, what we want to create, just to recap, we want to create a platform where people can collaborate with each other, and I mean, it shouldn't be hard to find relevant information. Everything we do now, and this is something I think we need to add to the overall goals, whether it's short, mid-term, or long-term, Jaro. I think everything we have to do is to make it easier for people to become productive in our projects, and we have to map everything. We have to ask ourselves a question for everything we do: is this making people, people's integration into Agile Ventures easier? Could they become productive faster? Can we ease the way information is found and accessed and everything? So this is the main objective for us, I think. Right.
Absolutely. Well, and that's why we have it in our short-term goals. The first point: provide faster involvement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should focus on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Improve project's landing page to act as a showcase. Okay, so each project. All right. Yeah. Well, absolutely. I think that we should. First of all, we need to get the project's description page, being editable in rich text format. So whether, I know that we had this tiny MCA or whatever it's called, we scrapped that. I would like that to be editable in Mercury, so we can add some pictures or images and text and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And also, each project lead needs to expand the description of each project, so it's easier for people to understand. And website 1 is really bad right now because we only have one sentence, so we need to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Improve the flow of finding a pair programming partners and setting up a session. Absolutely, this is one of my. Apart from making documentation and information accessible, we need to create a mechanism for setting up pair programming sessions. So this is definitely a goal. Although, is it a short-term goal? Well, that's an epic in itself. So I would say that I don't know. I don't know if it fits into the short term though.
But it fits in a way that we shouldn't delay it. We should. I mean, we are working on it already, and we should continue working on it. We shouldn't sort of push it away for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Compiler selection, video materials, are getting started. Absolutely. That's yeah, that's a little bit. Number 5 is it kind of overlaps number 1. I mean so yeah, making joining crowds and people position comfortable, not intimidating. But yeah, sure. And that's a little bit about the guides and stuff like that as well. So yeah, definitely. I agree upon the short-term goals. Any comments from any other people?
Oh, I like them.
Anything to add? Anybody feels that we should start on something straight away, which isn't there?
Just as Thomas mentioned, improving the projects page, that should be a high priority as well.
Okay.
But otherwise, it looks good.
But Brian, have you heard Thomas's question about the quick fix to the projects page? Is that possible?
Which one?
Well, I asked. I don't know if you were away, but I asked. I had a question for you because you created the index interface, right? Is it a way for us to move up website 1, local support, autograders, and Ostra to the top of the list? So these 4 projects would be the first a new visitor sees when we visit that page, and the other projects could come a little lower, and on separate paginated pages or whatever.
Right. As a matter of fact, after Sampriti's GitHub commit thing gets merged in, we could rank them by GitHub commit count. That should bump up the right stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's good. That's good. Let's do that. You want to write up a story about that?
Yeah, sure.
That would be great. That would be great. Wonderful. Because that's a quick fix. Because as I was saying before, we need to revisit and rethink the whole way we present those projects. Because I'm not quite happy about this. It's not very intuitive, and people have trouble finding relevant information. And whether it is the way the site is built or the way we use it, like me, you, and other people like you who create documents, I think we have to find some balance into how do we use the application so we don't create redundant documents or just create a very deep tree structure of documents and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But I think that's a separate discussion, perhaps in another meeting, because we should produce the lo-fis and stuff.
On a separate note, there are a bunch of meetups here in Ann Arbor. Like there's a Coffee House Coders, and there's another one that's good for Agile programmers. There's a Ruby meetup even. I've been thinking about kind of advertising Agile Ventures at those meetups to try to bring more members in.
Are those meetups in your local area or? Yeah,
in my city, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great.
Okay.
Sure. It's just knock yourself out. Just bring as many people as possible. Definitely.
Okay, will do.
I know that Sam is still hosting open pair programming sessions at Makers Academy every Wednesday or what is it? And Brian, do you know that? Yarrow? Nobody has any details about it. Well, he used to have meetups.
His contract has finished with the Makers Academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyways, but sure, yes, that would be great, because we need other sources of new members than only the edX courses that usually, because that's where our members are usually coming from right now. But if we can, if you could get us a nice UI UX expert to join Agile Ventures, I buy you a beer next time I see you.
By the way, Christopher,
which is half over the world, so I don't promise anything, So yeah.
By the way, Christopher is a professional UI UX designer.
Once again?
Yeah. Christopher.
Oh.
he admitted it. Although he said he didn't want. I mean, he joined. He didn't want to do design stuff.
Oh well, personal preferences aside, you know.
Well, try and convince him.
we have to convince him. Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on. You see, I was thinking. Do you want to talk those midterm?
To be honest, I think we shouldn't focus on them just for this moment. We have the short-term goals. There's a lot of job there. We might come back to midterm goals at the next meeting.
Just one thing is point 2 here on midterm. Define and implement a system of recognizing members' involvement. We have started the karma system, and I would like to have perhaps if we can today or next time we have a planning meeting, talk about the way we calculate those karma points today and how we can improve upon that, so we can have a nice going system of karma points. And also I think we should, as we spoke, I don't know if somebody wrote up a story about it, but we need karma points on projects so we can determine the activity level on those.
There is a discussion on it on website 1. I just posted the link. John has written up, and I have added some points.
Yeah.
So people, please join in the discussion.
All right. Okay. Cool. So yeah, let's we can return to this later on if we have time today, or some other time.
But you agree that this should be one of our sort of midterm goals or short-term goals?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because we're mixing here a little bit of website 1 related things, but also things that has to do with Agile Ventures as a community in itself. Of course, because this is a technical solution for supporting this community, but we need to think a little bit on how we what we want our members to do and stuff. So it's I would say that we need Sam's input on for instance things like karma points and stuff. But yes, it's definitely a goal for us. So.
Since we started talking about midterm, could we just touch a little bit the third point? Just to get an idea of what people feel about this. At the moment, the only way for us to get feedback is by asking people on Slack, by having discussions in the comments, and by talking like live in Hangouts. I was thinking that maybe at a later point we should have some way of collecting feedbacks from users, which can be done in place. So, for example, we implemented a feature. It is on develop. Somebody goes there, and it would be nice if we had a quick way of that person to give comments on this new feature, because otherwise now he has to go. I don't even know where that guy has to go to comment on that new feature which has been merged into develop.
Well, it's basically he needs to comment, and we haven't done it. Now, when you say it, when you mention it, he would need to go into a closed pull request and continue the discussion there. So yeah, it's. I agree, and I know you and I discussed this, and there are some third-party solutions for it, or we can build something for ourselves. But it's an important feature, and I totally agree that we need to have something like that. Although I feel that this is not even a midterm. I would say it's a long-term goal, because we have so few people active in the community right now. So we could, theoretically, it would be enough with just a discussion on Slack or by Discuss or whatever. But if we grow, if we get a lot of traction and a lot of active users, then a system like that would be justified. The amount of effort that we have to put into it. would be justified by the output we can get. So I would rather say it's a long-term goal than a mid-term.
Okay, I'll move there then.
I mean, but you know, don't take my word for it. Anybody else has a input on it? No. Well, okay, take my word for it.
Well, let's leave it like this anyway. And we can manage now, certainly. Somehow.
Yeah, but you understand what I mean. I mean, it's a great idea, but you know, it will. We have to write up a story. We have to implement, test it, blah blah blah. You know, and set up a whole structure for it. And then we have only like 10 or 15 active users actually. To be honest, you know what I mean. And
yeah,
so the amount of feedback we would get back from it today wouldn't justify the effort. Basically.
Absolutely. At the moment, I think the owner of the story will just have to promote his new feature and develop, and tell everybody about it, and advertise it.
But I do think that we need to have a strategy, a mailing strategy in place. We spoke about it in the previous meeting, but who can send out emails, what they should contain, and stuff like that. Some sort of a standard for mailing, because emails could be a way to activate members. For instance, if we merge in new code to production, we could say, okay, we have new features, or this and that is possible now in website 1. Or if we just go out to develop, we could ask them to provide feedback on new features or something like that. Because I mean, we have almost 500 people registered for the site, but only a handful of people are active, reviewing features and reviewing code and stuff like that.
We could sort of combine it with implementing the what's it called, the news feed, where all the actions that happen on website 1 gets published in one place, like the feed, and that feed would also get the summary of that feed can be emailed to all the users.
Yeah.
Automatically, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
That's a very good idea. Just write it down.
Cool. All right, but
have any of you guys used Atlassian Confluence?
Once again?
There's a tool, software called Confluence from a company called Atlassian.
Okay.
And what was that, Sampriti? Oh.
I think
okay.
Pavel is experiencing that.
I can't hear you real well.
Your sound is really low, Sampriti. I'm sorry. Okay, move on.
Okay, so I just want to put it out there as something that if you guys haven't used it, you might want to take a look at their website and see what their capabilities are, because they're doing a lot of what we want to do, and it will probably give us ideas for how to design a user interface for projects, for example. We might get some good ideas from how they do things. They've been at it for a long time. So.
Sure, can you post the link in the chat?
Yeah.
It's from the same people who did the Bitbucket, the Jira.
Right.
Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Confluence. Okay. Cool. All right. Where we can see more? Oh, we can see a place to share a file. Okay. Okay. Yes. Pages, measures, meeting notes. All right. So they have okay. Well, we can review that when we have some time over. Perhaps not at this particular moment, but yeah, absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Great input. And also, let's. Where can I find this events document that you created?
Oh,
It's
under feature requests and design.
Event internal. No.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and the lo-fi up there, what's that?
That's the other document that you might want to start with that one actually.
Wow. Yes. Okay, so let me just ask a few basic questions, like because I want to know what's the difference between a Scrum meeting, a pair programming session, or whatever, because there seems to be different models for everything now, like past Scrums, future events. Just talk me through this. What's going on? I'm really confused.
Okay. So there, in the program right now, there are only two relevant database models, or two relevant classes. There's at least for the models, there's the events, which is right now used to store. So whenever you create a new event from the events index page right now, which lists all the scrums basically, that gets stored to the events table. So that's both recurring events and one-time events, whether they're scrums or hangouts or pair programming sessions, whatever. The other table is the hangouts table, which has grown a bit since, not in a bad way, but it's grown a bit. I think since Yarrow implemented the capability to create a new event directly from the projects page, and I think there's another way to do it as well. I forgot. But now, so the Hangout has nearly everything that you would find in a one-time event, plus the Hangout URL and the YouTube URL. And Yarrow, you can cut in if I'm missing out on some aspects of this.
I would look at it from a slightly different perspective. The Hangout model and the Hangout table is purposed to hold the data about a Google Hangout, a particular Google Hangout. Now, that Google Hangout can be associated with an event, and that event can be, a bunch of things, like a Scrum event, a pair programming event, a client meeting event, and whatever else event.
Okay.
So, from my point of view, I was only concerned about the, holding data about the Google Hangout. What it gets associated with it, that's what we should decide about.
Okay. Hold on, a timeout here, a little bit. Wait. So what we do have is we have scrums, we have pair programming session, we have client meetings, we have whatever. We make people meet each other over internet, right? So every kind of our event is either all those events could be a one-time occurrence, but they can also be occurring several times, like scrums. We know that each scrum is going to be repeated, 5 times a week or something, right? So, but basically, it's in the nature of the business we're in that all the events we have, or at least most of them, have to have a Google Hangout attached to them, right? Because there is almost, I'm not categorically ruling that out, but there's almost no instance of meeting that is not including a Google Hangout.
Except for those that haven't happened yet.
Yeah, but it could potentially be something like that. I mean, if anything fails, if Google is down, we can potentially have a Scrum over Skype or over text-based chat, whatever, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to have a Hangout attached, but it 99.9% it will have that, because that's the way we work. Our workflow includes that we screen share, we at least see each other, or at least hear each other, right? So the way I see this, the main model should be the events model, right? And every event has one or several hangouts. It could be a one-to-many relationship, couldn't it?
The problem with that is that when you have a recurring event, it's not really an event. It's an event template, right? So you're saying, let's say it never expires. You're just saying this is what we're going to use to generate specific event instances.
Yeah.
And so an event. So I'm trying to make to distinguish between an event template, which generates events, and event instances, which don't even need. If it's a one-time event, it doesn't even need a template. It can just, it basically can be the event description with the Hangout link, right?
Yeah, potentially,
Which
yeah.
is what the Hangouts table has right now.
But
right?
I don't. Yeah, but if it's okay, me and Sam discussed this once when I implemented. But I created the events model, and you know I had some help from I think Brian and Sam. And what we spoke about is like, you know, because we don't want to duplicate the same information over and over again. That's why we created this template. And as you called it, we didn't call it template, but I understand your terminology. And then you have the occurrences. So and one idea was that if we need to fill that in, you know, event occurrence with some sort of additional information, then we would create a new new event, but not in that event table, but you know we were talking about calling it an event occurrence table or whatever, you know, so we can populate that with some sort of information. You know what I mean? So, but we never get around to it.
Yeah.
Basically.
So the one of the I think the primary source of the complexity in the event class itself is that it's being used both as an event template to generate and it generates different things in different methods, which makes it extra confusing. But it's used partly to generate event instances, and it's used also to store event instances themselves.
You mean the Hangouts model, or which?
Well, no. Well, it's so if you use the events index page as it is now to create a non-recurring event, a one-time event, it's stored there as a one-time event, which I would consider an event instance that just hasn't started yet. You know, there are events. So I look at an event instance as having or I think of it as having a timeline where it hasn't started yet, then it started, then it's done. And I don't see why we really need to be moving it from one table to another.
No, I understand. Yeah.
During the life cycle, right?
But I mean, again, if one event has many hangouts, then we could assign each hangout to a Scrum, to an event instance. So we wouldn't need a new table, right?
Well, except that it doesn't have a right. So you wouldn't need a new table. Okay. The only thing is that it would have to be an event, or it would have to be a hangout that hasn't started yet, and it could be stored in the hangout table. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
But also past events. I mean, because each event has a schedule. We only access, for instance, in the you know in the event show page, we show like 5 upcoming instances of each event, of each Scrum, right? But the information about the previous, I mean, there is a schedule attached to each event with past and planned instances, so we can access that when they were. I'm just thinking out loud here. Perhaps no. Yeah, we know. No, forget that. Okay, I can't wrap my head around this now.
Guys, may I just suggest, we're getting into technical details here. I think it's not a problem. We can either use the existing structure. We can sort of plan a new structure as part of a story. Like
he didn't he never used that, so I think Sampriti needed to clear that off. But I think that it's important that we come to a conclusion how to deal with events, generally, whether it's Scrum, pair programming session, client meetings, or whatever we have in the past and in the future, so we can store we can have a transparent, structure that everybody, that is not too complex.
How about me and John pair on this one, and we draw up a UML diagram?
Yeah, I'm a very simple guy from Warsaw. I don't understand UML diagrams.
Oh, I mean, okay, not UML.
I understand. I understand.
Pencil diagram.
No. Please write. But the thing is that make it as simple as possible. I mean, this doesn't have to be so complicated, because this is, there are certain categories of events, and they can be like, past events or future events, or they can be ongoing right now, right? So it shouldn't be too complicated.
No, it shouldn't at all.
But what we need to, because we are already kind of heavily invested in the solution we have right now, which basically means that, without consuming too much resources, we need to make this, backwards compatible, so we don't have to, lose a lot of information. Do you know what I mean? And that's
let us come up. Let me and John come up with a sort of first idea of this clear structure, and then we can discuss it having something at hand. Because at the moment it's very difficult to follow the discussion, because I don't even remember what that event model is, like in details.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sure. I leave that into your competent hands. And I'm fairly confident that you will come up with a right idea. As long as, just remember, keep it simple and keep it straightforward. And UML diagrams are lovely, but please just make it so I can understand, fairly quick.
To be honest, I call it UML, but to me it's just boxes with arrows, nothing else.
Yeah, I know. But you guys tend to have too much text in those boxes, but never mind. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Anyways, listen. Also, the way we display information, I love your the lo-fi I'm looking at right now. But guys, please, again, minimalistic. Keep it simple. It needs a challenge, and that's why we need somebody, with a good experience in building user interfaces, because it's really easy to overdo certain things, to push in too much info into a screen, and then give the user too many options to choose from. So yeah, so it's also it needs to be kind of as simple as possible, I guess. But I'm looking forward to see. I mean, I like your, for instance, the Hangouts index page that we just merged in, Yaro. It's okay. I'm not particularly fond about the shading, around the boxes. We don't have that on other parts of the site, so I would remove that. I say let's go for a cleaner look. But I think it's.
Forgive me, that was after I finished the CSS course. In fact. If not for Brian, I had all kind of floating animations scaling up and down.
Again, less is more. I know. I see. I went to a CSS course myself once, and I know that it's very tempting to have animated logos and shit flying all over the screen. But in the long run, it's better to keep it simple.
I would love somebody to jump in and clean up the interface, make it sort of flat and sexy looking. I don't know how to do that.
No, it's cool. I have this story about cleaning the interface thing. So but everything I do on that branch will be pushed to a demo site, so we can have a saying about things. But it's a great job. It's great work, anyways, Yaro. So don't take it as a positive feedback.
I do. Don't worry.
Good.
So, what do you guys think about using it as a basis for a new the new events index page?
Yeah.
Extending it to include upcoming events and some subset of these kind of filters.
Personally, I wouldn't rush at this moment, because the events page is there and we're all kind of used to it. Maybe we're not using it too much. you know, the Hangouts Index one is a new thing. We need to use it, and I'm sure there will be quite a lot of feedback on things. You know, I wouldn't rush at this exact moment.
But the Hangouts index page isn't that kind of overlapping the events index kind of, or?
Well, you know, the Hangouts index page is it's only showing the Hangouts which, you know, we have in the database. Events are events, and Hangouts can be, you know, associated with those events, or maybe not. Like, you know, if it's a Scrum meeting, then it has been associated with an event. If it's just a pair programming session on a project, then it's not associated with it.
Yeah, and that's the problem for me, you know, yeah, because that's what I'm saying. I'd say that even when we create a PP session from a projects page, that would create an event with one occurrence and attach a Hangout to it, because that's for me that's the logical thing to do that. But I totally agree. Let's not get into that discussion now. But to answer your question, John, I would say that I would say yes to redoing the events index page, although I will not say yes to that, because I'm thinking about the calendar view. I know somebody asked about something about that recently. You know, I would postpone that decision to next time we see each other on Saturday. I think we have a next planning meeting, so we can discuss that a little more in detail. You know, but if you have, I mean, this is an interesting lo-fi. If you have any other ideas, we want to provide more lo-fi sketches. I'd love to see them. Perhaps even a spike. You know, if you can, you know. If you have the energy for it, just you can code something up and make a demo or something. That could be interesting as well.
Okay. No promises.
No, you shouldn't. No promises. No. But let's talk about this next time we have a discussion,
okay.
and perhaps you guys, Yaro and you, have had a chance to talk about this events, you know, flow and everything, you know, what's going on in the application. Yeah. Because I think it has bearing on this discussion as well.
Personally, I think, you know, in the light that our short-term objective is to make it easier to hook up with people in a pair programming session. Mm-hmm. And that is basically to let other people know that I'm available for programming on this and this, and so other people know when exactly I'm available at, and they can jump in. I think, you know, what we have to focus on now is provide an ability to plan a pair programming session and let other people know about it. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter so much whether we do it on the events, Hangouts, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I just have a quick note. Just a quick note. I would like you guys to think about when you plan about, you know, think about this events thing. But, you know, it has a bearing on karma, because I would like to measure how many pair programming events has Yaro started, and that would give him karma points. You know, in terms of scrums, I would like to see how many times Yaro has, or whoever has clicked start. You know, a Hangout. You know, so where you actually hosted a scrum, because that would give you karma points. You know, so these things are kind of connected in terms of how we handle events, and where we, you know, so we can gather and aggregate information about who's done what in the application over a period of time, in order to for instance assign karma points. I can see potential other uses for that, because we want to gather statistics for the statistics page, you know, for the dashboard. You know, how many events totally have we held, how many of them were scrums, pair programming meetings, and other meetings, you know. So for that we need one model to handle everything. That's my opinion. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, I'm glad it makes sense and everything. All right. So moving on. What else do we need to talk about today? You had some stories in Pivotal Tracker, Yarrow, that you wrote up. You want us to have a look at them?
Yeah. One story you have created, Thomas, that's the what we have discussed in the last meeting, the editor role. And I have written up a little bit on that. I'll just post a link in a second. Well, I had it there. I've lost it now. Just a sec. Okay, got it here. There's the link.
Yeah. Project manager, project lead. Yeah. Production.
Maybe not for discussion right now, but basically what I wanted to get people into discussing this and sort of defining the roles for now, at least for now, so other people know what roles are, who's who's taking those roles. And we have Christopher in the discussion at the bottom of this document saying that it would be nice if members holding these roles could be listed on the project page. So basically the main idea is to let all the members know that we have these roles and these people are doing these jobs.
All right. That's yeah, absolutely. And I think we kind of made decisions about that because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't rewritten my notes from last time's meeting. I'm sorry about that, but I have a handwritten note that Yarrow is set as the editor for now. Is that correct?
Yeah, and at the bottom, I started writing up what that editor role could be. So basically, this document is just a big template. And today, I would like for us to have a look at this editor responsibilities. My idea is what this editor responsibilities could be.
Yeah. I'd like language I would like to see here is also not only maintain but also create, but actively help other members to guide them in the creation of documentation. You know what I mean? Because
yeah, absolutely.
So that's what editor kind of means to me, that I write something up and it looks like shit because spelling mistakes, structure mistakes and stuff, and you just help me out with hey Thomas, think about this and that, and you missed you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I kind of meant by audit, like to go through and give people feedback.
Yeah.
Maybe they can improve the document so it's more useful.
Yeah. I would like you to perhaps elaborate a little bit about that. See, audit is it's for me personally, perhaps it's just my own perception, but audit is a very harsh word. Kind of, it's like a teacher is gonna slap me over my hands if I've done something wrong. You know what I mean? So help is a it's just a language thing for me, I guess. But audit is tough. It's a hard word.
Okay,
I would say audit and perhaps add something else, to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll find another word. I couldn't find the word.
It sounds so formal that basically that's my objection.
You made me think of the IRS. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Poland. I'm actually I am a part of the generation. I was actually beaten by my teachers. In school, so the ruler over your hand.
The thumbs.
Yeah.
Yep. The nails. Yep.
That's
British. I grew up in a British colony.
Their main idea was, so basically an editor for a project, and this guy who looks at the documents on a regular basis, checks if there is any duplication, if it's out of date, if the wording is not right, and doesn't change the documents himself unless he really has to, but gives feedback to all the users saying that it's better if we move this here, it's better we do it like this, it's better if you add this and that.
Yeah.
And basically helps users to maintain the documents, but also, if the people are not there, he can sort of move the document from one section to another, or maybe rename it, or maybe move it somewhere else. Also, same goes for discussions on the documents. Helps people to get into discussion on something, and then collecting feedback. So basically, I think it would be a good idea if everybody knows if there is something wrong with the document, just drop a line or talk to this guy, so he takes care of it and he talks to other people that they want it to be changed. Yeah, so that's sort of the main idea.
Absolutely, sounds great.
A facilitator.
A facilitator, yes.
That's the word.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
Among others, yes, yes. Well, if you want to update this in terms of for website 1, I guess that I would change the language from project manager to project lead. You know, as you used in technical lead. I think project lead is a more suitable wording. And then you can set me for that, and Brian for technical lead, and then yourself as an editor.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, and we can discuss the other roles when we have a little more people in. Yeah, it's only 4 of us right now. I would like to have Brian present when we discuss other roles, because opening up the GitHub repository for merging and closing PRs, and starting the only the only thing that we need to have a little tight security around is the GitHub account, because I have no problem with people creating and moving stories from the iceberg to backlog and stuff like that. I think it's a common, it's a courtesy thing to have as many people as possible voting on stories, if it's possible. But it's these things are regulating themselves. If some members come up with a crazy story, vote about it and start working on it and submits a pull request. That's and the rest of the team is not on board on it. If it's like people are saying this, it's unnecessary. Then everything stops at the pull request level, because it wouldn't get merged in, I guess. But this is an extreme scenario that I'm talking about right now. But I would say that voting and discussing background stories should be done perhaps in these meetings, that we have weekly sprint planning, or at least where you have somebody from the senior, like editor or technical lead, or me as a project lead present in the Scrum. Would you agree to that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think so. I put down those points just so at some point we can actually tell the members what they're free to do and what they should be cautious about.
Yeah.
Like, you're free to do this, but if you can, please join the Scrum and talk to other people about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I would be careful about editing. I mean, one thing that we need to communicate to people: if you create, and this is something that you can document, Yaro, in the way we run this project. If you create a feature, a feature needs to be followed by a user story, or has a user story attached to it. Otherwise, it's just, there's no meaning in writing a story up, I think. If we say, I would like to filter users on whatever, I have to have a user story attached, written in the way we write user stories, which mean, as a whatever in order to do something I would like to see or use a certain feature.
Like an extra.
Yeah, so that's the minimum requirement from my part in order to even consider a story or a feature request. Because if there is no user story attached to it, I just don't consider it at all.
All right. Okay.
And it also goes back to what we talked about, what we look into in a pull request. And in a pull request, we both me and Brian want to, if we have a well-defined user story, then the pull request should map, should everything in that pull request that we review should be working toward that, fulfilling that user story. You know what I mean? And if the user story is good, then it makes the developer's job easier and the code reviewers, the technical lead's job easier to see is the criteria for fulfilled, is everything in place, so that the user story can be delivered. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will. I have put a link there under technical lead, which I called "What I am looking for." What tech lead is looking for in your pull request? Yeah, and Brian should be writing that up, and we should put it there. I will ask him to, stress it out that pull request must be focusing on a story, and story must have a very on a feature, and the feature must have a very clear user story.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if that's the minimum, I think, but also I would like us to work with tasks in Pivotal Tracker. Like some stories are really well described that, in order to meet the, fulfillment criteria, I need to do this, like create a model, create a UI, create this and that. You know what I mean? So that also has an impact on when somebody reviews the pull request. Are all these tasks, could they be checked, and are they done? You know what I mean? But that's perhaps a little, a more advanced way of describing a feature. But having said that, I say that a user story is the bare minimum. Having tasks attached is a plus.
Basically, I'm just thinking of a sort of minimum checklist for a job, and that is, a story in Pivotal, a user story inside that story, a focus pull request. Maybe that's it.
Okay.
For a story to be delivered.
I'm done with that. Cool.
Okay, I'll put that down. I'll think about it where to put it obvious for new users to find. Well, for everybody, really.
I wonder if it would also be useful if somebody does start a user story on their own. It might be useful to put a link to the project on their GitHub account if they're not able to find a pair programming partner, or even if they are. Do you think that would be good, or to put a link to that directly in the activity for the user story or somewhere?
Wait. Okay. So in Pivotal Tracker, you mean?
Yeah, because typically, if somebody's working on it on their own, they're not going to get any feedback until they submit the pull requests, which could take a while.
Okay. So you
I
mean
think.
so they can make updates to the feature by posting links to their own.
No,
repos?
not so they can put up well. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it would be updates to the code that's implementing the feature, and I guess it's like sometimes I'll start working on a project. I can't find working on a feature. I don't have a pair programming partner, and I'd like someone to join in. But there's, if they did want to join in, they want to know where to look to get the source until they contacted me.
But
I don't know if it.
There is this. I mean, you can have activities. It's like a under each feature, so it's almost like a discussion,
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
guess that you can either ask questions under this in this forum, and then perhaps post links. Is that the place you think where this could be done?
I usually, when somebody asks me what story I can work on, I always say, look to the backlog, but also look at the current log, see which stories are in progress, and just talk to those people. How about joining them on a story? Just drop a line here in the activity, and then the person replies you, and he tells you all the details, where to find the vehicle, what status he's at. I mean, John, what you're saying would be great. If people were doing, it's just I think it would be too much to ask them to do. It would be nice, but kind of stressing on it, like guys, update your status in the pivotal track, I think is just too much.
Although it doesn't mean that you cannot do it. I mean, because within our little dev team, we can form our own alliances, have people that we prefer to work with and stuff, so if you and your partner or a few other guys come up with a good way for you to communicate, just feel free and use any means of communication that is available to us. What we're talking about here is the bare minimum. This is the way we want some things to look like, right? But if you have other standards, just feel free to use them. You know what I mean? All right.
Okay,
Moving on,
I gotta
Yarrow.
get going.
Pivotal.
Okay, perhaps we should wrap this up so we can go to bed soon. It's getting late. Do we have a lot of things to discuss? Remember that we have another meeting planned for this weekend.
Well, I mean, this is, as I see, this is the planning meeting for, so the main objective is to get an idea of what we should be focusing on for the next week, basically. We have sort of stressed the focus by talking about the short-term goals. That kind of tells us what we should be focusing on. As I see it, we should be focusing on the Hangouts -event feature, make it easy for people to jump into pairing session. That is sort of the main focus for the coming week. And also, most of the stories which I have written up in the Pivotal Tracker are all about the documentation. I was thinking about the editor role, as an editor, what kind of stuff should be done. And basically, all the stories are there. Videos, articles, cheat sheet, plan for introductory session, screencast, structured documents, and so on. So nothing much to discuss on. I guess this just has to be done step by step, and that's it.
Yeah, and I also see, just before we wrap up for today, we have quite a few stories in progress.
In the current, you mean?
Yeah. And I was reaching out to both Marcelo and Mariam about the Scrum videos page because they didn't click finish on it, and I guess it is finished. I have to redo some stuff on that UI wise, but it's delivered. But perhaps we don't have to go through all of this right now. But there are some stories in the current sprint that needs to be delivered.
Let's have a look at them. I mean, the hookup stories by John Engelbert, which is the display list of pending events, display list of active live hookups. That's the stuff that he's been talking about. Basically, it's in the progress, and I hope we can, as soon as we sort of clear out the model, the architecture for these models, he will start finishing those stories.
Display a list of pending events and active live hookups. Okay, I got it. All right.
Yeah. So I guess that should be finished quite soon. The document updates history, which was basically allowing to collapse the history for a document, so it doesn't take up space on the page.
Mm.
I have guided Chris into this story, and he was supposed to continue, but I posted two messages to him, and he hasn't replied yet. So I will wait a little bit, and I have already tried to throw in Sly onto the story to team up with Chris. So hopefully Sly will continue to work on this from tomorrow.
Okay.
And that's this story. Then, right, introduce new static pages, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we know what's this about. That's basically the content stuff behind the code pair grow things.
Yeah.
Okay, more hookups from John. As I said, yeah, we'll look at how maybe we should combine those stories into, so there are not so many of them in the current.
Yeah, but I can leave you guys to this. I mean, this is nothing. You seem to, yeah, because if you and John is gonna take a lead on this, event model and everything, perhaps we should just leave them be for now, or I don't know.
Yeah. At the moment, he has split it up this way, so I guess let's just leave it like this. Public dashboard we have started, and with Christopher. Christopher hasn't been around, but we'll be pairing with him hopefully tomorrow. That is.
Just a word of caution there, Yaro. Just pick 3 or 4 stuff to display and just display them for the first iteration. Don't overdo that right now. You know what I mean? It's like just take whatever we have, and it's better to start with something and just keep adding stuff on, and then aiming too high. Just because it's I'm very keen on seeing this in public. I mean in production. So let's just take whatever we can publish and make it happen, and then we can work on it somewhere.
We discussed the iterations yesterday where we haven't written up, but basically the plan is like this. The first iteration is just a page with I think it was five indicators which are readily available. So basically it's a table, the name of the indicator and the number. The second iteration is what was the second iteration? I have notes somewhere. The second iteration was to create. The second iteration was to create a template for the dashboard. So as soon as new indicators get available, they can be easily added to that template. And the third iteration, to think about the fact that we may have automatic indicators, which are sort of collected automatically, and we may have some indicators which are maintained manually. For example, we were talking about, how many job offers have been received by members. That cannot be done automatically, but it would be nice if we could just enter a manual indicator and enter the value manually. So that's sort of kind of third or fourth iteration. But for the first iteration, just going to be a table, plain text table, 6 indicators, 6 values, nothing else.
Cool. And in terms of UI, I know that we can separate the user interface, the presentation from the main thing, but keep it really simple. I would say use tab views so we can so the don't pack too much info on one single page. It's better to have tabs and let the user choose whatever he wants to look at instead of presenting him with way too much numbers and boxes and stuff. You know what I mean? I like clean interface with a lot of white space. Perhaps some graphic like diagrams or something. It's always nice, but it's not a necessity. But just think about not. Don't build a way too crowded page, basically. That's what I'm thinking.
No. We'll do for plain text and have a separate story for pulling UI on top of that.
Sure, no problemos. Okay.
The next story, the add search filtering to users index page. I have looked at that this morning with Sly. He has finished it. He needs to write out the Jasmine specs, and he needs guidance from somebody, from me, or whoever he finds tomorrow.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, but it ended up one line in JavaScript. Surprisingly easy.
No, there you go. That's good. That's good. Let's see how the deliver application error on production. Do you know anything about this? Dropbox. What is this?
Which one was that? And why am I put as an owner, I wonder?
Application error. How to grade the projects? How to grade?
Oh, right. That's the free GeoIP service, which was down. So we had it happened to us 2 or 3 times, I think. When the free GeoIP was down, the Agile Ventures went down too.
So when the free GeoIP was down, okay, but I mean, all right. So, but we solved it by having a fallback, or
no, the main reason for that was because every time you visit website 1, when the session gets checked, no, the other way around. So okay, so every time we visit website 1, the last IP gets saved into the user model.
Yes.
And that called the callback on the user model, which initiated a request to the free GeoIP, which was down. And so there were 2 problems. And so it was basically just requesting for ages, and then we got a 500 application error. So we fixed it by 2 things. First is providing a timeout for the free GeoIP service, which is like 2 seconds, I think, now.
No, I think it was 5. Well, never mind, huh?
Yeah, and the other way is checking if the last IP hasn't changed since last time, then we don't query free GeoIP. We query only if the last IP has changed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know. That's all right. I didn't anticipate them being down, and I thought that because it's my fault because I built this solution.
Actually, Thomas, I looked at the Git blame, and you have put a timeout on it.
Yeah.
And sometime in March, Sam has made a hotfix to the production, making timeout 0. No idea why, and but that was the problem basically.
So it wasn't my fault, you say?
No, it was Sam who changed timeout to 0.
Well, that's lovely. Thank you. Okay, but the thing is that I'm using the last login IP because I want to see if somebody moves from one country to another, it wouldn't. That's why I use that indicator. You know what I mean? Because for instance, you were in Tenerife, but then you were in St. Petersburg for a while. You remember? And it's actually said Russia on you after a while, because that's the way we want this. Because you can be on vacation and sign up for our set up your account. Then you go home, and then you're always stuck with the first first place where you were at while you signed up. So that's why I'm using the last login IP to track the member. But yes, of course, every time it updates. That's a lot of calls. That's
If you, I just posted the link into the group chat. If you just open that up and look at line 24.
After validation, camera. Yeah.
So basically, that was the fix. Last sign in IP changed.
Yeah.
So it hasn't changed. We don't do it. And you see, the after validation was run every time you would visit the website.
So is this a method you created, or what? Last sign in IP chain. Okay.
To be honest, I don't remember. Did I?
Or is it something that Rails provides you with? No.
No, I think it's even standard. Yeah, I think it's a standard method.
Oh, that's a very nice method.
It's a standard method from device. That is.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's all right. Okay, I get it. Well, it's cool. Cool. Great. Great. And we also using, we see, okay, we are gathering info that we are not using actually. You see, we have city, region. We only use country right now. So this is done for future. And you see this latitude and longitude? I was planning on using that for calculating the user's current time zone. And I'm not quite sure how it's done now with it's kind of it uses a gem, so it's calculated for wherever user.
It's using the JavaScript. It's using the JavaScript function, which is run inside the client, which gets the local time zone.
See, I was hoping to use this information in this pair programming schedule, business. You know what I mean? So we could save this info. And we could save info depending on your last login IP, We could get the country name, the region name, the city. The city is not very correct, so that's why I didn't use it. Because for me personally, I'm from Gothenburg, but the free geo IP put me in a city close by, So it's not very, very reliable. But anyways, I was hoping to use that to calculate the local time zone. And save it somehow, store it, so we could make it searchable. When a user searches for people with similar skills or similar interests, but also within the your own time zone or neighboring time zones. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm not quite sure whether the solution we have in place now for calculating users' time zones, if that fills the criteria. It's not, and that information is never saved. It's just calculated when the user visits the site, right?
We could save it, although I'm just thinking about it right now. Every time we install an operating system, it always asks us for the time zone, right? And I think if they could, they would try to sort of resolve your time zone, but they always ask for it. So we could actually set it in the user profile, but sort of we could try guessing it from the data we get from the client. But ideally, I think it's if the user actually saves his time zone and his.
No, we can't rely on users setting anything correctly. That's why, because then I could skip the free geo IP or anything. I could just ask the user, where do you live? But I try to avoid that. But because my philosophy here was to gather as much information as possible about the user without asking him for info. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing applies, I think, to the time zone, because perhaps you and I know the name of our time zone, but a lot of people don't, and then we have to present them with a long list of scrolls, scroll down list with shitloads of time zones. I don't know how many they are, but I think it's over 200 or whatever. And that's a bad user experience. You know what I mean? So I was hoping just to automatically get it. I prefer that method.
I'm pretty sure we can solve this problem. As long as if we have a story for this, and we want to save the local time zone, the time zone for the user, I'm sure we'll find a way of doing it.
There was a story for it, but then I went away, and the story just took another direction, because perhaps I didn't write out a good enough user story for it, So because the problem isn't me when I log into the system. The problem isn't your own time zone, because that could be calculated by JavaScript, just pulled out of the operating system. The problem is when I do a search, I want to know what other people's time zones are, and if they are not stored and they are not online at the moment, so that there's no way for me to find that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we could. Well, basically, we just need to decide which method do we use to get the time zone. We have JavaScript, we have a gem, and we have the free geo IP.
There is another actually.
Can I interrupt? Just why would you want to know their time zone and not have the API just sort that out for you to see who's available and who's not?
why would I like to have their time zones?
Yeah, instead of just a normalized time stream, like who's available now, who's available now.
But
Because it's normalized in
but
the.
wait, so how would we know they are available?
We'd have a current time, right? And you'd say who's available at this current time, and it gets mapped automatically in the API.
Yeah, I got it. But let's say you're available, to pair. How do the system know that?
I would just tell the system I'm available.
Yeah.
And it would
But then we rely upon you doing something. You know what I mean? And I understand that, I respect it. But the thing is that then you have to be logged in to the system. You have to take some sort of action. After logging in. What I try to do is first of all, when I do a search for people that are available, of course the system should take people that are online or logged in into the application at the particular moment. Then they are highly prioritized. But then of course people that are offline, but they have similar interest, like with me, and they are close by. The chance of actually pairing up with somebody that is in your own time zone is higher than for me to pair with Thomas in Hawaii. You know what I mean? Because when he's awake, I'm asleep. So that's why time zones are.
I see. So you would have some sort of notification or event sent to the offline user.
Yeah, I would like to say Thomas would like to pair with you like tomorrow or whatever. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on. Oh? Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought my wife was calling me, but my neighbors are making a noise. Sorry. I'm back. So you follow my.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. That's hard.
I want to avoid.
That's a type of that introduces a tracking too, right? Because at some point you have to let the user know where they are. For example, I'm on holiday, and if I'm in Burma or Beijing, it's a different time zone.
Mm-hmm.
So now the onus is on the user to maintain their
not the way I built it now, because I used the I'm tracking him by geocoding.
Oh, the geodata. Oh, right. That was you. Okay, great. Yeah, that was
with the last login IP. So if you go to Bahamas for holiday and log into the system, then we know that you're not home anymore.
Right.
And we update.
Yeah,
what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to update the time zone, but we haven't come so far yet. So, but I want to be able to update your time zone by your latitude and longitude that I'm getting off your last login IP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I lived just my personal experience, and it may just be an edge case, but when I was traveling, I used VPN, and it's becoming more common for expats from the States and the UK to use VPN, and the geolocation is not going to come up.
Yeah,
to your region.
So now we need to take that into consideration, of course. Yeah.
But JavaScript would work in that case.
Yeah, it can read your system time, right? Your system. It can infer the time zone from your system time.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
Okay, we have to think about this. So what you mean is you log in, and when you log in, we can scan your system time and save that. Or
I believe, in the header information that the browser sends, it would have the current time zone that you set for your preference.
Okay. Okay, so we should write. Okay, but it could be. Okay, let me ask this question, guys. Is it possible for us to do both things, just to make sure that everything is or is it redundant, completely unnecessary? Just so scan his time zone. If it has changed from previously saved time zone, then update. And if there is no time zone in the scan, if we can check his last login IP, and then ask an make an API call and get this time zone that way. Then we're
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, if JavaScript is there, we can ask JavaScript. If it's not there for some reason, then we can base it on the geodata.
Okay.
That sounds sensible.
And I think as part of the facilitation of encouraging new users or getting new users to the system, there should be a method where someone herds or manages pairing or promotes it.
Yeah.
And there should be some way to say, hey, I'm available for pair. I'm not really doing much this weekend, but if anybody wants to pair, let me know. And so you're now on that list. If someone wants to pair, you can get notified.
Okay, and that brings me to another story that we should have. Then once we incorporate, the news feed or the general dashboard and everything, we should have a user status. Don't you think, Yaro? Like almost like a Facebook thing. What's my status? Well, I would like to, looking for a pairing partner or working on something right now. You know what I mean?
I think that would be a great idea to have on your an app where you could just a few different states available for pairing. Just set it on your phone, and we use that as an interface to Agile Ventures, and then that app can become social in other ways.
I could write up an iOS app fairly fast, but
the concept I think would be great.
Yeah, well,
not just the iOS. I mean, just wherever it is implemented to have that ability.
But how about you write up the pivotal tracker story for the user status, and that could be a good challenge because I would like you to just as a learning process formulate the user story for it.
Sure. User story for status. Okay.
So the way we formulate user stories as a whatever user or stakeholder, I would like to blah blah blah, and write that up in Pivotal Tracker. He has access to Pivotal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. By the way, Thomas, have a look at the link in the group chat. I just remembered, I've been working with Nikita a little bit, sort of guiding him through, and he has implemented this story, which has been merged by Brian to develop.
Yeah. He saves that already. Okay.
Yeah, he actually uses the geocoding we have in place to show that.
Good. Nearest time zone. Nearest time zone. Fine. Okay.
That relies on loading a bunch of data, right?
Well, I mean, we have loaded it already. Anyway, I mean, we had this
right.
out there for ages, and before it's been loading every time a user logs in. Now it loads it only if the IP address changes. But basically, yeah, we have at the moment we already do have the time zone, the user time zone in their profile.
Excellent.
I'm just checking different. Okay, it's correct for me. Let's see, is it correct for Pavel, for example?
And does it? I need to. Perhaps I don't have time to do it now, but I would like to know whether it actually changes with if the last login IP changes. You know what I mean?
It should change. It should change.
Well, so I could log into Agile Ventures from a different location and see what happens.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it should change because Nikita has even written up a Cucumber story, which blah blah blah. If I have this IP address, then I should see this. Yeah, so it should change.
Okay. All right, good. This is not in production yet. It's only on develop, so bear that in mind if you test anything. Okay, but it's cool. That's good. That's good. Because I think that a pair programmer, a PPP search, it should take into consideration time zones, projects you work on, you know, your skills or your previous activities and stuff like that. That's why we need to save information about what people have been doing or anything. You know, getting some metadata on everybody. And
I was actually thinking about, John has introduced this idea of pending events, pending hookups. The idea was, for example, I know that today I'm free from 10 to 6 o'clock, for example. If I go to website 1, I create a pending event saying I would like to work on this and this project and this. I can specify things, or I cannot, or I cannot specify things. But the main thing, I put down the hours I'm available. And that's it, it's there. So whoever comes there, he sees this pending event, he sees a guy who's available and he would like to pair. Then he clicks on that, and then that guy gets notified on Slack that somebody wants to pair on that pending event which you have posted. Do you want to reply now? And they get in touch and they pair.
That's one solution, and I think that should be that's a good one. Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's work in that direction. I think it's good.
Well, I was thinking we're starting with that because for me, I was finding that people would post messages on Slack saying, "Guys, I'm available. Is anybody else available?" But then, that message gets scrolled up somewhere, and when people come into Slack, they don't see that message anymore, that somebody wanted to pair.
Yeah, I know. I've been there many times. So yeah. Sometimes you want to find somebody to pair on, and there's nobody there. So, though, if you can plan ahead, like you say, you set up an event for later on in a few hours or tomorrow or whatever. Or just even without a start time, just as you say, if somebody's interested, you just the system notifies us about something.
Yeah, and thinking further, we can we can subscribe to some events. For example, I would like to be notified on any pair program or on any pending hookups on website 1. And for example, autograders. So whenever somebody mentions that, I want to get notified.
Exactly.
And we have all the infrastructure in place already. We have the Slack integrated. We can get notified on Slack. That's it.
Yeah, and also we already know on the user profile what projects you are a member of, which equals to that's what I'm interested in, right? So that's another thing that makes that possible. So yeah, absolutely.
One thing though, I have put a story in the Pivotal for this. One thing we really need to do is to map the website 1 users to Slack users, because at the moment, when you post something to Slack, you can notify somebody on Slack only if you know their username, and their username can be different from their username on website 1.
Yeah.
Sort of the easiest solution to this is like the same as we have on user profile on website 1. We have a link to our GitHub repo. We could have a username for a Slack, but I will also look for other solution for without modifying the user profile.
Well, a good thing would be to automate when you sign up for new users. When you sign up to Agile Ventures, you automatically create a Slack account.
Oh, by the way, yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. How about what we could do is, we cannot really automate it. I have even written a letter to the support in Slack, and the only way to automate it if a user has an email address on the Agile Ventures domain, which is obviously not possible. But one thing we could do, we could.
Don't say that. It's actually very easy to set up.
Yeah, but not for everybody, right?
Well, actually, it depends a little bit on what the contract that Sam has with the internet provider. But it would be very easy for us to, when you sign up, there, to the Agile Ventures site, you can automatically, we could automatically set up an agileventures.org email account for them, make that account being forwarded to the email address that they have to provide when they sign up, and that could we could, because it doesn't cost anything to have a lot of forwarding email addresses. The only thing that costs is the storage, whether this address is supposed to be accessible. There's a mailbox attached to it. That's what actually costs money. But a forwarding address is free. You know what I mean? And the amount of forwarding addresses is infinite. We could have as many as possible.
That's one solution. That's one solution. The other way I was thinking about is basically have a page on website 1 where you have a button, and if you're logged in on your profile page, you can say sign up with Slack on Agile Ventures, and that will post a message to Slack channel that this guy wants to be invited, and then anybody who's in the channel can invite that guy. And that's
okay. So is there a way? But there isn't a way to automate the invitation process.
No, that's the problem. The invitation has to be done manually, unless the guy has an address on the Agile Ventures domain.
I would go for that solution then. I would go for the yeah, because the user doesn't even have to know that he has the agileventures.org address. He doesn't have to be informed about it, because if we set it up, as a forwarding address, he won't be able to send emails with that account. You know what I mean? The only thing, if you address
automatically, can we set up a forwarding and the email address automatically? Do you think?
Once again?
Do you think we can set up an address and forwarding automatically?
Well, it depends a little bit on what's the technical solution platform that agileventures.org is on, and I'm not talking about Heroku, the website, but the mail servers that SAM's, whoever it is that administrates that domain, and I don't know that. We have to wait for him to come back. I know that I've seen him do certain things over a web interface, but I mean, if it's a Linux system, I know I could write a script. If I had access to the server, I could write a script that where a new user is registered. You just it just automatically creates an email address. So but it depends a little bit, what's.
And if he doesn't mind 500 addresses on Agile Ventures domain,
he shouldn't be. I mean,
then that's the best. Then I think that's the best solution. I never actually considered it, because I thought Sam would never want 500 email addresses on his domain.
Because and he would say no if those 500 addresses had mailboxes attached to them, because that would cost him money. But forwarding addresses should be free, But whether it's possible to automate them, we have to wait and see until he comes back, I guess.
Okay. I'll just write that down to remember about it. Agile Ventures forwarding. Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up. It's almost 2 hours. Let's cut this. Let's cut this short.
Yeah.
And I try to be. I'm not home tomorrow during the day, but I try to be here tomorrow for the 6 o'clock scrum. And we can always, talk a little bit more after the scrum if there's any issues that needs to be discussed.
Right. Although it's too early for me.
I mean, it's not 6 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock afternoon.
6 o'clock. Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
800. Yeah.
But myself, I will write up the notes that I have here. I will pair program with John on that. Basically, UML diagram, the architecture for the events thing.
Yeah.
I will do that editor stuff, project lead, what we have discussed. What else? The The minimum checklist, okay, that's for the getting started documents, that's sort of in place. Yeah, one thing we really need to discuss sometime soon is the karma system, the karma calculation.
Yeah, I know. That we covered this earlier today as well. Absolutely, it's very important, and I need a story, but not now, perhaps. But I want to display those. I created a story about advanced statistics for users. I would like to have, a pop-up or model window with, how many people how many times this guy has logged in, his a little basic stats about a user, and I think that karma should be displayed on that.
Sure.
Advanced statistics for user profiles. Yeah, I said, karma points, days registered, join date, days since last login, days since last post, or some sort of activity if we have this activity feed, projects count if he's how many projects he's involved in, login count, user offline, blah blah, stuff like that. And this information could also be used to in the search algorithm for pair programming sessions. For instance, if he hasn't logged in for a long time, right, we shouldn't put him high up in the result. On the result page, if you search for certain users, you know what I mean. So and login count is we use that for karma points. So this could be interesting. I mean, even if he's been active, he's been a member for a year and he was active yesterday, but the total login count over the last 12 months is only like 5 times, then we know that this is not an active user, right? So this sort of information could be useful for us.
Yeah, there are a lot of things, I mean, that could go, a lot of indicators that could go into the calculation of karma, although I think we have, first of all, we have include those indicators which would sort of attract users and, make them more active, would sort of, make it attractive to them to be more active about things.
Yeah. I mean, because the karma should also be able to move up and down. For instance, if we say days since last login, every 10 days where you're not logged in would subtract 1 karma point from you, for instance. So the karma will go down after a while, and stuff like that. So I don't know. There's a lot of we definitely need a discussion about this, and I know that Brian's up for it because he implemented the karma system, but he says that this was just a quick first iteration of this system, and the algorithm needs to be extended, rewritten basically. So cool.
All right.
Okay, it's 2 minutes to our 2-hour limit. So unless there's nothing else to discuss, I would say that we should end this, I guess.
Oh, go and have some tea.
Yeah. You're Russians. You drink chai, right?
Well, not as much as English do, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm Polish. I drink a lot of tea as well.
Yeah, well, it's actually quite difficult to find tea in Spain.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, I mean, you get like the really simple stuff in the supermarkets, but if you want anything nice, it's pretty impossible. Everybody drinks wine. Nobody drinks anything else but wine here.
There you go. All right, guys. Unless there's anything else, I'm gonna quit the broadcast.
Right? No, nothing else. Great discussion. So see you tomorrow.
All right.
Yes.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.